So this video is about realistic expectations in poker and what are win rates, etc. So I keep flip-flopping around. For a while there I was playing live cash because I thought that was my way out of working, my best possible chance. And then I decided to switch it to online tournaments. And so I started doing that, and which is fine. But the problem is I'm putting too much pressure on myself to try to make this happen. And so I'm losing the enjoyment of the game because I'm getting frustrated anytime things aren't going my way, because now I'll never get out of the truck. Well, I think realistic expectations are that I'm never getting out of the truck until I retire or find another job, but that I'm going to have to work a traditional job until 65. So until then, I think it's time to temper expectations, understand what a win rate really is, and that, you know, few people are winning in poker. If you know anything about the Pareto distribution. So the Pareto distribution, also known as the 80-20 rule, is the probability distribution that describes phenomena where a large portion of the effects come from a small portion of the causes. So like in music, 20% of the artists sell all the music, the other 80% are struggling. 20% of authors sell books, the other 80% sell nothing. 20% of YouTubers make money, the other 80% do not. And then, for example, is in poker, 20% of the people that play poker play profitably, 80% do not. Out of that 20% that play profitably, the Pareto distribution works again, that 20% of the 20% make the big bucks, and the other portion is profitable, but not by a large margin. So realistically, you know, I'm not going to be a winning poker player, at least not in the sense of replacing my income. And I have a fairly decent income, better than average. So, and once you factor in health insurance and my 401k, both of which at the company I work for is better than average by a lot. So, you know, I'd have to play poker and make the six figures to do better than what I'm doing now, especially once you factor in retirement money and paying for healthcare benefits. So what I'm going to do is just play poker. If I want to run down to the card room, I'm going to go down to the card room. And if I feel like firing up the computer and playing some tournaments, I'm going to play some tournaments. But it's not with that underlying thing of, well, how do I get out of working? Poker ain't going to be it. Go Bitcoin. But that just accept reality that, hey, if I could even become a break-even player, great. And so I'm still going to keep track of the roll. I think that'll be interesting going forward. But you know, if you look at the different poker players throughout the years, and I'll do a quick rundown of a few of them. Huckseed, he was on the Table One podcast. If you're not familiar with that, it's a YouTube channel with Justin Young and Art Parman. Both are high stakes cash pros, and they do a podcast where they get different poker people on, and they had Huckseed, who was the 1996 WSOP main event winner. Now, a few years before that, Huck spun $1,000 into 10 grand. Then over the next year and a half, he turned 10 grand into $1 million. But by the time he went to play the main event in 96, he had to get staked. Howard Lederer was one of them that did that. So that's just another example of somebody in poker who ran it up, went broke, had to get staked, won a bunch of money, had to give half of it to the people staking them, and so on. He ended up leaving poker for about 10-15 years around 2010, and now he's back because he's working for Phenom Poker. But that's just another story yet of one of the old school legends that went broke at least once that we know of. And also too on that is Justin Young, one of the hosts of the Table One podcast, also was lamenting how he is currently in a humongous downswing. So that is a second example right there of the brutality of poker. Another example is Mike Sexton, poker pro, and he was one of the commentators with Vince McMahon. God damn it. Okay, let's start this over again. Another one is Mike Sexton, and I've recommended his book, Life's a Gamble. Definitely recommend listening to it on Audible because Mike is the one narrating it, and it's an excellent Audible book to listen to. And he was one of the commentators on World Poker Tour with Vince Van Patten, and he talked about in his book about being between bankrolls, which meant that he was broke, and he was oftentimes between bankrolls, even though, I mean, he would win and lose millions. And so Mike was a winning player, but still it's difficult to stay a winning player and stay your head above water. Now, he did have a problem with sports gambling that kind of hurt him a bit, but it just goes to show that making money and keeping it in poker is a very difficult thing to do. And a few other ones of note, Jamie Gold, he won $12 million back in the 2000s on the World Series of Poker main event, and supposedly he went broke. Mattisau was a big name in the 2000s. He went broke, and the list goes on, and it's just really, it goes to show. Eric Lindgren's another one. Well, a lot of his was sportsbook, that they go. It's hard to maintain a win rate year after year after year. If you listen to the interview that Dewey Tomko did, he talked about that these people come and go. They can't stay winning that long. It's a very difficult thing to do. And he talked about Stu Unger, where Stu was one of the greats, but Stu was broke a lot. So really it's a difficult game to win at, and I'm playing one day a week and listening to podcasts and think that I'm going to somehow replace my job. It's we have to temper expectations a bit here, I think. And then another one is, I used to watch Matt Berkey's Only Friends podcast on YouTube every day, Monday through Friday. And he used to talk about it, that the win rate is pretty low. And I think he really is right, because Pareto distribution, 20% win. Out of that 20% of them, which would be 4%, are making real money. Everybody else is, turning a profit, but it's, not livable money. But the other thing too is to do it for a real long period of time. And Berkey went broke more than once. I mean, he easily talks about that, and he talks about other pros that he knows that, you go busto at some point. And, even Lamanna that was on there, I mean, he played professionally for years and finally went busto and decided to go to more traditional work and play recreational on the side. So that's where we're at. That's where the channel's going to be at moving forward. And we're going to play poker for fun. Still playing to win. Don't get me wrong. We're still playing to win. But not that, this is my way out. Because it's not. That's not realistic. So, for Bonesaw Poker, I'm Brad. Thanks for watching. And remember, everything you want is on the other side of fear.